we've been talking about this, but let's talk about President Bola Tinubu, who has instructed service chiefs and heads of other security and intelligence agencies to deal with anyone involved in oil theft, as he insists that his administration will not tolerate this economic crime. Now, President Buhari said this when he convened the National Security Council meeting to get briefs from service chiefs and outline his plan to reform the security sector. Now, TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde has a package on that, has a report on that, and then we come back to discuss this.
The new commander-in-chief of the armed forces meets his service chiefs for the first time after the presidential inauguration. President Bola Tinubu has said security will be the top priority of his administration, and he will reform both the security doctrine and its architecture. This meeting with security chiefs that lasted for about 2 hours is matching words with action.
The president has made it very, very clear that he's determined to build on whatever gains have been made and to reverse misfortunes and turn the tide in our favor. As far as he's concerned, this country should not be on its knees struggling while other countries are walking.
The National Security Advisor says President Tinubu admits he does not have the luxury of time as insecurity continues to ravage some parts of the country, and he has mandated security agencies to come up with a blueprint to reform Nigeria's security architecture.
There must be a clearinghouse. All agencies must work to achieve one single purpose. Working at cross purposes and colliding with each other is not something that he will condone. He's going to embark on a lot of reforms in terms of our security architecture. He's going to take a closer look at our misfortunes in the maritime domain, focusing particularly on the issues of oil theft. That he is not going to tolerate. Wherever the problem is coming from, it must be crushed as soon as possible.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, also disclosed that new directives have been issued on ways to guarantee the security of lives and property. He says his team is inspired and re-energized to execute the orders of President Bola Tinubu.
The security disposition across the country to be. And so we have left Mr. President fired with that mandate and to realign our interventions to fit the expectations, not just of Nigerians, of course, with the mandate that Mr. President has given to us.
President Bola Tinubu has inherited a security situation that has grown from bad to worse, despite the huge government spending on defense. It most times seems as if the emerging security threats overwhelms Nigeria's armed forces and the police. As the new administration sets to work, its performance would likely be judged based on the prevailing security situation in the country. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
All right. That gives us a perspective of some of the issues in there. But Darlington, okay, I think I need to get used to this President Tinubu, and all of that. We have been so used, in the last 8 years, we've been used to President Buhari and so on. Transiting to a new president now, I guess Nigerians have to forgive me too.
It's normal. We are all guilty of that. With time, we'll get used to it because it's just a number of days.
Of course.
Right. How many days ago? Right. It's just like when you enter a new year. When you are writing, you'll still be writing the
previous year.
The previous year. So it's normal. It's understood.
We'll get used to it.
No, we'll get used to it. So Darlington, please help us, enlighten us in the area of clearinghouse, the concept of clearinghouse in the context of security, the way that the NSA has put it, which the president is saying there has to be a clearinghouse.
Well, there has always been one. It's about synergy. Now, each of the security agency has their own constitutional duties. The military has its, just like the military. In the armed forces, you have the Air Force, you have the Navy, you have the Army. They are all specialized military bodies who are meant to take charge of certain areas. One is aerial, one is water, one is land. Okay, same thing, you have other security agents. Now, all of what you gathered differently are brought to a table. You gave your report, I give my report, and then they are examined and then worked on, and then further instruction goes to any other agency. I give you the instance of what happened when we had somebody who was coming to hit Abuja from the northern part of Africa. Okay? The DSS was proactive. They had a report by him. He was profiled. That report was tabled at the Clearinghouse. And then from there, it was handed over. The next phase was given to another agency to say, okay, it's your mandate. This man is coming by road. And the land borders have to be manned. We're talking about the NIS, Immigration Service now, who takes charge of people specifically who go out or come into the country. That of custom is to check the goods, what you are bringing in and what you are taking out. And so at that point, the NIS, I'm just breaking it down finally now. At that point, the NIS is supposed to monitor the borders and then monitor him. By the time he gets to the border, they identify him. He is handed over to another agency now, which is the Nigerian police. By the time he's taken about, if he's followed, if it's a lead and is followed, then the DSS will now be involved again. The police can now be involved. And then perhaps the military will also be on standby because he was assumed a terrorist who was coming to carry out terrorism in Nigeria. Of course, the report of the DSS had provided a lot about him, talking about how many of them will come in, talking about the color of the vehicle he was to come in with, talking about the number plate of that vehicle he was coming with.
So that detail.
Everything about him was gotten, and of course, you know the DSS is the secret police, and then was tabled. And then at that point, it's okay, we take this off you now and give to this other agency who will man the borders. That agency, by the time they follow up and it gets to the border, will give report, and another agency will take over. That is the way it works. But most importantly is synergy. They must all be able to synergize. That's what Mr. President was also hammering on when he talked with the security chiefs. Of course, his administration, his assumption of office was greeted by a quagmire or a hullabaloo between two agencies who were supposed to occupy a building separately. And then one took charge and said, you are not going to come in. He does not speak well about Nigeria. He does not speak well about our security architecture. He does not say exactly that there's synergy between the security agencies. And so, that was why I said he had come, Mr. President has come prepared. No detail, he's not leaving anything. For whatever it is, particularly when two security agencies clash, when they are armed, both armed, it could have been bloody. It could have been bloody. Perhaps I give kudos to those who were the commanders at that time. And one respected the situation and left, not that they were weak. And then Mr. President made a statement immediately and said and corrected the situation. That is it. And then there was peace.
The issue of this interagency rivalry now that the president is also seen to be, trying to correct, on a mission to correct, that is, would it have any issue with the fact that sometimes we've seen it, over the years now, prison breaks, how that there would be alleged complicity of, members of that particular agency. Do you think these are the incidents that breed interagency rivalry, which also need to be addressed, that, agency by agency also needs to clean house among themselves and be sure that they are not trying to bring down the wall from the inside?
I have been a part of those who trained security agents at a time, particularly well in the north and in the south. And one of the things we teach them is synergy. Synergy. What often leads to that challenge, that quagmire, that misunderstanding is them not knowing when not to overstep their boundaries. Let me explain it with an instance. If you are coming in from Republic of Benin, talking about Lagos now, between the border point and Badagry town, you will find security agents of different agencies, numbering not less than 20. As you move on, you will find a particular agent. Let me not mention their name so that it does not look like one is bringing anyone down now. You will find agency A. Maybe you will find them at not less than 6, 7 points. You meet them at point A, you meet others, you meet that same agency again, you go again, you meet again, you go again, you meet again, you go again, you meet again. Duplication. That's more than duplication, Mike. For lack of the exact adjective to qualify that, I had challenged one at a point. I'd gotten to the border point and somebody stopped me. I was actually moving with my family, my wife and my children. And then somebody sat somewhere. Another person came to me and said, hey. I stopped. How may I be of help to you? He said, that Oga is calling you. Who is the Oga? May I know who you are? Can you please identify yourself? Can I see an identity card?
They were not wearing uniforms?
The person talking to me now is not a personnel, but it's one of those used in the local parlance. They call them a kelebe. I said, could you please identify yourself to me and why? I said, call that man, tell him to come. He came and I said, why would you stop me? Why would you stop me? Why? And I taught him, I said, this is not your responsibility. What you just asked me for now is not within the purview of your agency. This is whom I am. This is the problem. It is not within your purview. It's within the purview of another. Apparently, the point I'm making here is that agent had overstepped his bounds. A combination. And so, if the rightful agency that was meant to ask that question was close by, there would have been a clash. And so, in most times, first what we tell them is, you must synergize. Because the information you get has limits. You may not be the one to execute it. You pass it on. That is why, if you remember Yusuf, when Yusuf was arrested, the founder of Boko Haram, who arrested Yusuf? It was the military. The military handed Yusuf over to who? Which agency? The Nigerian police. The military does not have the powers to prosecute a civilian. Even if it's their own, when they are done and they are derobed, they will hand them over to the Nigerian police.
Yeah, but what about instances where there is deliberate concealment now of information from one agency to the other? You know, isn't that equally as formidable?
That thing you are just saying now is a crime.
I like the way you put it. It's a crime.
Isn't that equally more, you know, an issue that we also have to, you know?
It's an issue, but once you are gotten and arrested, you go in for it. You pay dearly for it. Because, one, you know your duties and you know why you are working for that agency. You are not there on your own. You have your official responsibility to deliver. And so, once that is done, you pass it on. And those who are in charge, who are supposed to take it, there are information you got, you pass on. When it gets to the clearinghouse, they look at it and x-ray it. If it is not necessary to continue, it is kept aside.